Da 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 da. Hello, internet. Welcome back to the story Nook. Today we're gonna be reading some news articles because woo, this came up on my Tumblr feed, and I was like, "Holy shit, is it real?" And I went and I made sure to find news articles to read it, and so we're gonna read some of these news articles to you. And this first one comes from Dateline. Or Deadline, which is breaking Hollywood news since 2006. So when I was in sixth grade. This is written by Tom Tapp as of June 25th. So a couple of days ago. It's June 30th now. Happy Pride Month, even though Pride is almost ending. San Francisco bookstore pulls Harry Potter books over J.K. Rowling's anti-trans views. And it's not so much her views, but her actions. Because I did go to their Instagram page and look at the post, which I will be pulling up later, but I'm still really proud of them. This is a photo of the author with her book in 2005. For any of you who do not know who J.K. Rowling is, J.K. Rowling is the writer, aka the author. I have to specify that those two words mean the same things, because I have met people who do not know that author and writer mean the same thing. But J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter. I'm sure she wrote other things, but she's best known for her work on the Harry Potter franchise because she's the creator and the writer for it. After years of controversy over Harry Potter, author J.K. Rowling's stance against transgender rights, the owners of one San Francisco bookstore have had enough. The Booksmith, a popular independent retailer in Haight-Ashbury, announced recently on its website that the author is using her private wealth from the Harry Potter series to develop the J.K. Rowling's Women's Fund, an organization dedicated to removing transgender rights in the workplace, in public life, and in protected female spaces. As a result, the Booksmith's owners announced they would remove Rowling's books. As a group of queer booksellers, we also had our adolescents sick, shaped by wizards and elves. Look at us, it's obvious. If you or someone you love wants to dive into the world of Harry Potter, we suggest doing so by buying used copies of these books, they said in a statement. Correct. And also, your public library probably also has copies that you can check out and read if you want. And this is a photo, I believe, that is from the screenshot. From their images. And it says, "Are you looking for Harry Potter?" In May of 2025, author J.K. Rowling publicly committed to using her private wealth from the Harry Potter series to develop the J.K. Rowling's Women's Fund, an organization dedicated to removing transgender rights in the workplace, in public life, and in protected female spaces. I don't know what that means, but okay. With this announcement, we've decided to stop carrying her books. We don't know exactly what her new women's fund will entail, but we know that we aren't going to be a part of it. As a group of queer book lovers, we've had our adolescence shaped by wizards and elves. Look at us. It's obvious. If you or someone you love wants to dive into the world of Harry Potter, we suggest doing so by buying used copies of these books. Controversies over Rowling's views and activism are not new. Most recently, Pedro Pascal, I don't know who that is, decried Rowling's online celebration of an anti-trans UK Supreme Court ruling. Pascal called it awful, disgusting shit and heinous loser behavior. And so, yeah. I don't know who Pedro Pascal is, but they are a person. And I'm going to pull up the Instagram post for you guys to see here. Not sure how much can be seen. But it says, changes in our kids section, alt text below. We love you. Note, June 10th, 2025. We appreciate the respectful conversation in the replies, but please take full discussions into your own DMs. We are a small staff and are making sure discussions stay open and respectful, but in-depth conversations will be hidden because it would turn into a full-time job. Thank you for understanding. Heart emojis. And this is just the same statement that's written there. And then you do have people that are like, wait, you're banning books. But I feel like a lot of people, they don't understand that they're not so much banning the book as they are taking a stand and saying, we do not want to financially support you. You can go scream in the town square all you want, you weirdo, but we are not going to financially support you in what you're going to do that you are going to use against us queer people and trans people and all this and that. I understand a lot of people, if you are confused why I say us queer people, I am also queer. I am demisexual, bisexual. I need a connection, an emotional connection before I'll start feeling sexual attraction, and gender means nothing to me. Like, I can be attracted to you regardless of your gender. It's just, I need that strong emotional connection first before the idea of sex or even kissing will enter my brain. And so, yeah. And I get why a lot of people, we have been discussing banning books, but we're talking about banning books from libraries and public access, like public schools. We're not saying ban them here. This is a private business owned by queer people, and you people in the church do this shit all the fucking time, and you can't be calling foul right now, bitch. Because what we're talking about is a similar but different ball field. And I get why you think it's similar, because you're just like, it's a store, it's public. And it's not. It is a private business, and they get to make the decisions about what books and such that they sell there. Just like all you bitches at the church get to say that only your Bible, only your holy text gets to be at your church. That's just how it is. However, Harry Potter's still going to be allowed, and still should be allowed, at a public library, which is your state-run, city-run, federal-run library, which means not privately owned, state-owned, federal-owned, whatever you want, public library. Harry Potter should still be available there, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be, but it should be available there. It should be available in kids' school libraries. This is a private bookstore. It is privately owned by queer people, and they said, we're not going to give J.K. Rowling a single cent. Harry Potter is still going to be carried in your local Barnes & Nobles and Books A Million. They're just like, hey, J.K. Rowling is very anti-trans. She's been anti-trans for years now. We all know about it. It's a very well-known fact. Within most, if not all, the queer gay community. And we should not give her our money. It's just that simple. We should not be giving this woman money so that she can turn and attack our trans brothers and sisters in any way, because she will just continue to do so. We are actively, and this bookstore is actively making the decision not to give this woman money. This is a private bookstore, and they get to make their own decisions on what is and is not carried in said bookstore. And if you do not like that, don't shop at this bookstore. Not every bookstore you go to is going to have the book you want. That's why, like, I get upset, but I also understand. There are multiple bookstores that have opened up in my area, but you know why I don't shop at those bookstores? Because they don't carry what I read. They opened a bookstore up in Stonecrest Mall, which is the closest mall to me. And in that bookstore, it was mostly they sold clothes and bejeweled hats, but they had books on the wall. So one of my coworkers, when I worked at Stonecrest Mall, was like, hey, there's a bookstore downstairs now. It was not a bookstore. That bookstore, or the book part of it, only carried religious books, dieting books, and books about getting money. And then they had a couple of books in a small corner for children that was like, who was Martin Luther King, who was Harriet Tubman, and all that. Because they were trying to appeal, let's face it, to the community that's there, and the community is mostly Black. So they were trying to appeal to those people, but they weren't really carrying a lot of those books. They have the New Wall Street, which is a Black-owned small business-filled mall. It's an old Target that they've gutted out. They decorated it beautifully, and they filled it with small Black-owned businesses inside. And there was a bookstore in there. There were 2 bookstores, actually, at one point inside that mall. And I went to both of them. One of them, like the one that had been briefly open in Stonecrest Mall, which is a stone throws away, only carried finance books, religious books, and dieting books. And that's pretty much all he had. And he was a one-man show. And he was like, so what kind of things are you looking for? And I had to explain to him, oh, I mostly read manga and graphic novels and comic books. And he was like, oh, cool. What are, like, the popular comic books? And I'm like, well, I'm pretty niche. I'm reading the Sonic the Hedgehog comic books, but starting basic Static Shock. I don't know if they sell an omnibus of Static Shock. It would be great to see and to buy, but there's always Batman and Wonder Woman. There's Miles Morales. So I remember telling him, like, there's like the basic ones. You've got like DC and you've got Marvel. I'm reading IDW. I'm reading Sonic the Hedgehog. So if you ever carry that, I'll come back and I'll start buying it here, because I would love to buy it here instead of like driving an hour, 45 minutes to Discover Mills Mall to get it, or having to order it to my house. But I think the last time I walked around, that bookstore is no longer there. There was another bookstore. They focused on children's books, and then they had some art photography books. The way they pitched the book, though, made me uncomfortable, because it was a book full of, like, children entrepreneurs. And I was just like, not kind of my thing. If you had, like, a book that was, like, photography on, like, clothes, what those clothes' significance were for, like, the culture, I would have been more interested. But the child entrepreneur thing, I'm just like, why do the children have to go to work? But whatever. But these were 2 private-owned bookstores, and they got to carry and sell whatever they wanted. One, I remember it was closed for a while and it was supposed to move to a bigger space in the Black Wall Street. And the other one, I think it closed last time I was there, but neither were open last time I was at that mall. Maybe they're open again, but they were not when I was there. But I wanted to read this and I went on my little side tangent. But we're going to come back here and read our next article. Let me go ahead and adjust my crop filter. And so this one comes from the San Francisco Chronicle. And it was written June 26, 2025. So both were written the same day. This was written at 8:44 a.m. This one 9:51 p.m. However, I don't know what coast. No, both of these should be on the same coast. And so this is a photo that says the Booksmith, estimated 1976. People enter the Booksmith in San Francisco in 2024 of September. Height Street Bookstore has stopped selling the Harry Potter series after author J.K. Rowling said she would use benefits from the franchise to fund efforts to roll back transgender rights. There's two buttons here, it looks like. So it seems like there's an audio clip here. I don't know if that'll play. So it seems like it's 2 minutes talking about this. But I'm going to read the article and I'll probably just listen to this as I read, as my desktop sound isn't being captured. A popular San Francisco bookstore has removed the Harry Potter series from its shelves after author J.K. Rowling announced she would use franchise profits to support efforts aimed at rolling back transgender rights. Booksmith, located on Height Street, said via a statement, it would no longer carry Rowling's books following the author's pledge to fund J.K. Rowling's Women's Fund, which she described as an organization committed to removing transgender protections in the workplace, in public life, and in protected female spaces. We don't know exactly what her Women's Fund will entail, but we know that we aren't going to be a part of it, Booksmith wrote in a blog post Monday, June 23rd. As a group of queer booksellers, we also had our adolescence shaped by wizards and elves. Look at us, it's obvious. Fabulosa Books followed suit on Wednesday, June 25th. Go Fabulosa! The Queer Castro bookstore shared a picture on a whiteboard to its Instagram account with the message, "We are no longer buying plus selling books by J.K. Rowling as she is devoting her life to nastiness." The caption thanks Booksmith for setting a good example. So this is a picture of their Instagram. As promised, below you'll find a link to a list of bestseller curated suggestions for books we genuinely love that also fit the Harry Potter brief for you and yours. Many are series, some are standalone. Books for the younger folks are listed first, switching to teen YA about halfway through. So if you're new, YA is young adult. That's what it means. This is a work in progress, however, and we will be adding to it regularly, so please bookmark and revisit. Happy reading, solidarity forever. I'm going to open that link because I want to skim it. But if you're interested in Harry Potter, The Worst Witch is a British TV series that's also based off a book series. It's a great series. My husband really enjoyed it. There's 2 different versions of it, but yeah. Rowling has said the fund will provide legal support for women who challenge inclusive gender policies, promoting the idea that men can become women by performing their idea of what a woman is, which, funnily enough, often turns out to be a pornified sex object, does not liberate women and girls, she wrote in a statement on X last month criticizing transgender activism, which is not what real transgender women or transgender men are like. I feel like you, my darling, are watching a lot of porn yourself with transgender or whatever, or what people are labeling as transgender, because you and other people like you struggle to see women and men outside of a sex object, and that's why you think trans people are like that, is because you secretly have those views about yourself and about other women. And considering a lot of older women struggle with that, like, I found out my papa, who's 84, his girlfriend, who I don't know how old she is, she apparently has been accusing my papa of cheating, having women in a random, like, shed on the property that he's sleeping with. She's been, like, saying he's going to marry his great-granddaughter, who is 14 or 15 or whatever. She claimed he was sleeping with his granddaughter, which is blasphemous. And I'm like, what kind of culty bullshit have you been in? Like, what kind of incesty culty bullshit have you been in? And I am very concerned about the number of women who also see other women as pornified sex objects, as this quote from J.K. Rowling states. Because that, I feel like you have some of those views inside of yourself, towards yourself, or at least towards other women. And you think that trans women are, like, just making a mockery of you, I guess. There's a lot about your views that I don't think I have the patience to sit here and break down. But this is a photo of J.K. Rowling. And underneath it, it says, author J.K. Rowling has pledged to use profits from the Harry Potter series to fund the J.K. Rowling's Women Fund, which he described as an organization committed to removing transgender protections in the workplace, in public life, and in protected female spaces. So, joy. SF Gate first reported on Booksmith's book ban. SF Gate and the San Francisco Chronicle are both owned by Hearst but operate independently. While Booksmith acknowledged the series' formative roles for many readers, they've urged fans to purchase used copies or explore their curated list of fantasy alternatives, which is a very good thing to do. They're also a private bookstore, so they have the right to say this book can come in and this book cannot come in. Same thing with any privately owned business. You show up. If you're not acting right, that business can say, please leave and never come back. And I feel like a lot of people did not learn or understand this when it was explained to them during the panini. So, well. And this is a screenshot from the Deathly Hallows they added in. The list includes Jessica Townseend's Nevermore series, Ursula K. Le Guin's seminal Earthsea cycle, and Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials trilogy. Other featured titles include Where the Mountain Meets the Moon by Grace Lynn, the Tristan Strong series by Kwam Imbalia, or Mabalia. I'm not sure how that last name is pronounced, and I apologize. I probably butchered your first name. I'm horrible with names. And so I'm just going to apologize. If y'all want to tell me how that's pronounced, this lovely person's name is pronounced in the comments below, please do. Hurricane Child by Kaysen Callender, and Rick Riordan's The Heroes of Olympus series. Happy reading, solidarity forever, the statement included. June 24th, 2025. Updated June 26th, 2025 at 8:44 a.m. And I think that update was probably to say that Fublasa also joined in on the 25th. So woo. And this is another article that we have from the National Review, oddly enough. I don't know if any of these places, like, what it means to be a part of their thing. But this was written by Benjamin Rothhoff. Did I read the writer of this one? I don't recall. But it was written by Adine Vaziri. This one's written by Benjamin Rothhoff in June 26, 2025, at 2:20 p.m. A bookstore in San Francisco will no longer carry the books by Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling after she announced the creation of a fund to support sex-based women's rights. The Booksmith said it would no longer sell titles by the author because J.K. Rowling Women's Fund is dedicated to removing transgender rights. The store wrote, "We don't know exactly what her women's fund will entail, but we know that we aren't going to be a part of it." After all, why would you partake or be a part of something that you know is going to be harmful to your own community? And I say props to you. Very proud. Very, very proud of you. And then they're just like, the statement read, the Booksmith recommended that those who wish to read Harry Potter purchase used copies. It also provided a list of similar children's and young adults fantasy books, including Rick Riordan's The Heroes of Olympus series. Booksmith co-owner Camden Avery told the San Francisco Standard, "We don't have the luxury of pretending anymore that anything that we do is not related to this political movement, this imperialist fascist regime that we're trying to survive." Avery believes Rowling is doing really harmful, awful shit with her money, and the more people who know, the better. Yep. Gonna put in the quotations there, but yeah. The store previously stopped selling books by author Neil Gaiman after he was accused of rape. Didn't know that, but nice to know. Rowling announced her Women's Fund in May to offer legal funding support to individuals and organizations fighting to retain women's sex-based rights in the workplace, in public life, and in protected female spaces. The writer identifies as a feminist and has been frequently criticized by the LGBT community for her views critical of transgenderism. Celebrities including Pedro Pascal and Daniel Radcliffe, who played Harry Potter in the films, have also criticized Rowling's activism, which is why she's wanting to create a whole new Harry Potter series. For those of you who do not know, and I didn't know this, and I don't know if it's true for sure, but I've heard it on I heard it from one YouTube news channel, and, well, at least two of those. A couple of different Tumblr posts, and a couple of other places. But J.K. Rowling put in her contract with the studios that she gets a cut of all the Harry Potter merchandise. All of it. That sells. That's a commercial item for Harry Potter. All that sells, she gets a cut of that. And she gets the final say of what goes on that merchandise. That is why recently the original, actors, because a couple of them, including Daniel Radcliffe, have spoken out against her anti-trans views, she gets to say, no, I don't want Daniel's face on any of the Harry Potter products. I don't want anything made in their likeness. And that is why we believe she is trying to make a new Harry Potter series, specifically a television series, so that she can use those actors' faces on the product and get money. Because a face sells better than a logo. That's just fact. But she doesn't want to put the OG actors' faces on it because then they also get a cut. So, but we're pretty sure that's why she's trying to make a new Harry Potter series that I believe is supposed to air on one of the streaming services somewhere. There's so many, you know. Rowling has refused to back down and recently posted on X, "I don't believe in codifying and reifying gendered expectations. I believe in breaking them. I'm appalled that minors are being medicalized, sterilized, and deprived of sexual function because they feel discomfort with the roles they're expected to play as boys and girls." And oh God. It's so in order, I am not a medical professional, but in order to even be medically treated, like given hormones and such, to transition, I'm pretty sure that you have to see a doctor for so long, a doctor and a therapist for so long, explain your gender dysphoria to them before they'll even start to go, okay, let's try hormone therapy and this and that. It took me 6 years for my fucking doctor to go, "You might have endometriosis." And I was fucking suicidal on every single fucking period. So, whatever. And I get, like, every person's just uncomfortable with puberty and whatnot. But gender dysphoria is, I'm pretty sure, very different. I do not know that feeling. I could call one of my relatives who recently came out to me as trans to get an explanation of that feeling from them. But they are also still a teenager and they might not have the vocabulary to explain it to me. But they're not being deprived of sexual function. And also, why do you care about a teenager sexual function? Why the fuck do you care? The fuck you talking about a teenager's sexual function? That's not your place. And that's not none of our places. You know whose place it is? The doctor's. The doctor's place. The parents' place to be like, okay, what can I do for the mental health of my child? But damn. But they're not being sterilized, like, medicalized. A lot of kids are on medications. Like, I should have been on an anxiety med years ago as a teenager, and I wasn't because my mom didn't believe in fucking therapy. And she never took me to a doctor. I still don't see a doctor regularly. I should. I don't. Because I was never taken to a doctor. But they're not being deprived of sexual function. I don't know why you care. But it tells me that you only see people based off of their sexual function. That's what this feels like. You feel like, boy, girl, sexual function, you must perform your sexual function at some point, and you must be able to perform your sexual function. So, which concerns me and makes me feel like if your child turned out to not be able to reproduce for whatever reason, you would not want your child anymore. You would think less of them because they could not have a child or reproduce. That is what that quote says to me about J.K. Rowling from this sentence, and it is very disturbing. Rowling is the highest paid author of all time, and the Harry Potter series has sold more than 600 million copies worldwide. Her net worth is estimated to be close to $1 billion. The Harry Potter film adaptations grossed around $10 billion. Sorry, burp. While a new television show is in development at HBO Max with Rowling as the producer. And look, she's going to make even more money. She's going to take a cut of whatever revenue comes in from the show. She's going to take another cut because she's a producer. And if this show ever goes anywhere else than HBO Max, she'll get another cut because it's airing there. And we don't have... So there used to be a syndication cut. Streaming doesn't have that. Actors are fighting for that, and I feel like they're owed that, but once that syndication comes in for streaming views on online streaming, JK Rowling will get a cut of that too. A spokesman told N.R. Rowling was not available for comment. Booksmith did not respond to an email from N.R. Okay, so N.R. being the news article. A spokesman from whatever Rowling's estate told them she wasn't available comment, and neither was Booksmith. But yeah, and a lot of comments are like going, "Wait, we're banning books now? I thought y'all were upset about that." But I feel like people are not understanding that, and I wouldn't mind tiring about that. So yeah. That is those news articles about JK Rowling and her book essentially being pulled off shelves, and now 2 small books, local owned, probably one I know of queer owned, but at least 2 bookstores that are locally and privately owned have decided they're not going to give JK Rowling any money and are pulling her books, and I'm very proud of them. And I hope you guys are too. If you're not, whatever, I guess start a fight in the comments if you want. I mean, comments are good for the algorithm. Just know I will probably glance at it, see your negativity, roll my eyes, and then go about my day. But I'm proud of these bookstores. I hope other small, independent, and definitely the queer-owned bookstores will also stop carrying her books. So, yay for all those people. And thank you all for being here as I read these news articles, went on my tangents, went on my rants. Don't be a homophobe, a transphobe, and all that shit, and all that good stuff, but I will keep talking shit, and congratulations to the bookstore who is no longer carrying JK Rowling's books. I'm super proud of you. I'm super excited. Y'all are a great example, and I hope other bookstores follow in your place, because as a privately owned bookstore, you have that right. You are a private person-owned business. You're not a public bookstore. You're not a public library. You're not a school library. You have the right to choose what books you do and do not sell. And I am proud of you for that. So yay! So everyone make sure you stay hydrated, stay healthy, all that good jazz. Bye-bye!